2, 1. Thank you for listening to Comics for Fun and Profit, episode number 403. And this is Kyle and Drew with your sneak peek at next week. And we have one extra additional person gracing us with his presence this week. We have Eric from Kowabunga Comics on the Skypes with us. So he's going to help lead us through what's coming out in your local comic book shops this coming Wednesday, the 27th of September. But before we get into what's coming out in your LCSs this week, Drew, what you got for us?
Well, welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
You are there, right?
I am here.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, we had a little question last week about if the fire breaks out in your house and all your loved ones are safely outside and you have the time to run into the smoke-filled room and grab your precious favorite comic or comics if you can... If you can't choose, we'd like you to choose. But if you can't choose, what do you grab, and what is it that you make it to safety? And is it a comic? Maybe it's not a comic. Maybe it's like a statue, or maybe it's a favorite toy or something. But we threw it out there as a comic related item, and we've got some listeners who chimed in. First was Mike Myers, who originally said Batman number 3. So he has a Batman number 3 from the 40s. That's an old one. That's a good choice. And he edged that out over his giant size X-Men number 1. And then he had second thoughts and thought maybe he should just let them all burn together. That it just wouldn't be right to single one out of the other, so he'd probably just let them all burn as one big happy family. So he really overthought this one, I think, but that's okay. Bob Seifert, he has a short box with only CGC comics in it. That's where his ASM 31 signed by Stan Lee is. His annual is Spider-Man Annual number 1. His ASM 299, his Ultimate Fallout, his Ms. Marvel 1, his Batman 361, and about 20 others, all in his little short box. So that's what he would go for. And he said if for some reason I won't allow him to grab a short box in this scenario, he has a couple Marvel keys with Adam Hughes covers that he would grab. If that's all he was allowed to grab. So that's a pretty good choice. I think you have a short box right there handy, and it's got all your special stuff in it. That's okay. Jason from Hawaii said he would grab, in order of priority, 2 sets of Crisis on Infinite Earths, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, the wedding issue, signed by Stan Lee, Gotham by Gaslight, signed by Mike Mignola, and Elektra number 1, signed by Bill Sienkiewicz. Good choices. Good choices all. Juan Florencia, also known as Chili and Hustle. He said he would grab his giant size X-Men number 1. Even though he has all his keys in one short box, and he would like to grab that. Let's see. David Brock. He has an ASM 129 and a Hulk 181, but he has no idea which box it's in. I think I know where I feel his pain. I'd be struggling. I'd be sucking smoke trying to find what I was looking for.
Trying to find your ASM 300.
Yeah, well, I know it's not there. Michael Lamb would pick up his Saga number 1. That's CGC 9.8. So all good choices. Eric, what are you doing?
Yeah,
because you've got him in a safe somewhere, don't you? Some of yours?
Some of my stuff I have tucked away in a safe deposit box for just this reason. But the lion's share of my personal collection is sitting in my basement. So when the question came out, I was really kind of struggling. What would I do? How would I do it? And what I kind of came up with is, because I've got different sets of things that are important to me, I think I need to create a fire box. So I can just put all the things that are important in it. So should that happen, I know exactly what box I'm going to get. So if I'm doing that, the things that I'm going to toss in it are probably my Y the Last Man #1. That has to go in there. I've got a couple of sets of series that I really like. So things like my JLA Avengers, I'll toss that in there. Probably would toss in some Brubaker of some sort. And then I've got a couple of my CGC or CBCS books. I have a Batman Adventures free comic book day version that actually I took to get signed by Ty Templeton when he was at Wizard World Chicago a couple years ago. And in that, the free comic book day version, there's always the white block where you can use your stamper for your store and put your store info on there. And I happen to have a blank one, and he drew a colored Harley Quinn peeking out of the box, waving. And so I would definitely toss that in kind of for the sentimental value. And then I would probably have to pick a few trades or hardcovers off of my shelf. So I think I'm going to, after we hang up tonight, I'm going to go and create my firebox so that I'm ready to rock and roll. I don't have a first aid box, but I'll have a firebox for comics.
Priorities.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it really got some people thinking. Some folks also followed up and said, you know what, I hadn't thought about it before, but now your questions kind of made me reevaluate how I have things laid out and stored, and I'm going to make sure I know exactly where everything is. So that's funny. Hopefully nobody ever needs to use
yes, absolutely.
But it was an interesting exercise.
And actually,
my wife's a firefighter by trade sometimes, so I'm just hoping she has this under control and I don't have to make this decision.
It's we talk about losing collections, and one thing that's kind of interesting, as a retailer, we have various private retailer Facebook groups open to us through different publishers, and then there's kind of one conglomerate one that a lot of retailers are in, and with all of the flooding and devastation in Houston, there was one retailer who I thought did something kind of cool. His best friend was a first responder in Houston, and he had to make a choice, make a decision of, do I save my comics and my collection, or do I just get out of my house and go help people? And he obviously chose the latter and lost his entire collection. What this retailer did was he reached out to all the other retailers and said, hey, my friend lost his collection. It's predominantly modern stuff. We're going to try and go through and create a list, but if anyone on this, channel would be willing to chip in a couple of books, and send them down, I'd like to rebuild his collection as much as I can. And admittedly, the guy didn't have a ton of keys and high dollar books, so that makes it a little bit easier. But that's a case where unfortunately reality hits, and the comics were given up for the better cause. So to all the first responders that have to make that decision, that's got to be rough. But a number of us retailers are kicking in, trying to, as the list comes through with the books he had, put together what we can and try and get them sent down to him. So hopefully we can get his collection back together soon.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I could send him some 90s image stuff. I got plenty of that.
Every collection needs padding.
Exactly. Speaking of padding, Valiant is putting out the most variant cover of all time, which is going to have every variant cover, incentive cover gimmick of ever thought of. Die cuts and lenticulars and foil
Chromium,
cover.
foil.
Yeah. I thought this was a really funny idea, and I was excited to place my order for one. And then the details came out that for retailers, they can get one copy for every 250 copies of Quantum and Woody that they order. So, Eric, how many Quantum and Woody fans you got up in Wisconsin? Will you be able to sell 250 copies of Quantum and Woody?
No, not a chance. I think we.
Would you be able to sell 25 copies of Quantum and Woody?
Maybe if we put Tom Henry outside with a stand. But no, we don't have a whole lot of subscribers. That's comics are a tough thing because they sell differently in different markets, and Valiant, we've tried really hard to push in our store, in a good way, and certain things catch on, like Bloodshot. Bloodshot's been a huge one for us, and some just don't. And right now, Quantum and Woody, Faith, and there's a couple other ones out there, just aren't doing it for us. Ninjak is pretty good. Bloodshot's good. So yeah, for us, I mean, it would be... we would have a ton of issues sitting on the shelf, and without any sort of deep discount, like what Marvel does when they get to their really high variants on books that maybe don't sell as well. So like a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, they might have a deep discount if you exceed 150% or 250% of your previous order, something like that. Valiant's not doing that, which is a shame. So, you just got to figure... just assume a 50% discount for discussion's sake. You've got 250 books. It's a $4 book. You're looking at putting 500 in. So it's a steep uphill.
So 500 to get that variant. That's probably the starting price for that variant then.
Right. I think you're going to find it for less for some of the shops that do sell a decent amount of Valiant, because there are some out there. We see them and we're envious of them. But yeah, for us, it might be one of those variants where we say, yeah, we could order it. It's going to be pretty high. You may be better off trying to find a different place that can get it and ship it to you. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a funny thing that they're doing, but I don't know how many of them are going to sell. It'll be interesting to see. Could be a pretty rare book if you can get it.
I haven't seen anybody pre-selling it on eBay yet, but I'd be curious to see what that dollar is. Yeah, because I thought it was a funny idea. I was willing to go to double digits on it, maybe, but no, I'm not going to triple digits for it. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad, and I wondered how many stores could even take a flyer, unless they had money in hand for that from a customer or something to even buy the 250 to throw in a long box and not sell.
Right. Yeah, and especially without a deep discount that gets you down farther, that's what makes it tough, and that's where some of the Marvel stuff kind of tips you from, I don't want to touch it because I have to bring in, 150 of a book, but that extra 15% sometimes can be enough to say, well, actually, if I was to order 80 of them, I would pay this much. If I order the 150, I'm only paying, $20 more, but I'm getting 70 more books. There kind of becomes this point where you say, well, it's actually more, it's worth it because then I can collect all these other variants along the way.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems you do the 250 to get one copy.
Right.
And then, so I am assuming another 250 to get another copy.
Correct.
No, it's limited to one.
Yeah, I think it is. This one is limited to each retailer, and I think I read somewhere where, extreme cases, there might have to be allocations, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know what their print run's going to be on it. I can't imagine it being very high.
I would be surprised if there was more than 50 of these out there. Mm-hmm. I would be very, very surprised. So that's interesting. I'd love to see one when it goes up. I'll take a look at it up close. I think it'll be fun, but kind of missed the mark. It would be nice to have one for those of us who were just curious about it.
But in order to be the most variant ever, it has to have that high ratio.
That's true. You're right. That's part of it. Michael Lamb says, Kill the Minotaur has been optioned as a feature film. For him, it's been a good story so far, so he's going to see if it ever makes it to the screen. It was something that I was not interested in at all, so I didn't buy any, and I didn't read it. Did you end up reading that, Kyle?
I read the first one. It was interesting. I don't remember a ton about it, but I have, I think, 3 copies of it because it looked pretty neat at the very least. So I also will be rooting for it to go to a movie.
Is this something that sells at Kowabunga?
We've got a couple subscribers to it. It did not catch fire. I know I have the first issue somewhere in one of the piles beside me, but I cannot remember what it was, which makes me think that I have not read it yet. I do have certain stacks that are much older than others that I haven't read, so my memory's even worse than Kyle's.
Yeah.
And this is part of that Skybound deal, so Robert Kirkman and the Skybound team are teaming up with Universal to adapt it.
Okay, so yeah, they kind of optioned 3 things, right? They have there's 3 things they can option for that deal, I think, right? Out of Skybound,
I'm not
maybe?
sure.
Or no, it's like a 2-year deal. I don't know. I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
This is also the guy that wrote Red Dead, the video game. So that's right. That's why I was originally attracted.
That's
to
why
it.
you were more interested than me.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Well, what I have read is Mr. Miracle, and its first issue is now in its 3rd printing, and its 2nd issue is rushed to a 2nd printing. This thing is hot, Eric.
Yep. Very hot. We are sold out of the first issue, both first and 2nd print. So the 3rd one will be good. The 2nd issue, we were able to up our orders on FOC, so we still have, I think, 3 copies in the store, and we ordered heavier than we normally would, so that's good. It's definitely stuff that is, Tom King, with his vision work, hit it out of the park. His Batman stuff, I think, is hit or miss, but the Mr. Miracle is taking off pretty much like the Vision, and we talked about it in the shop, actually, a couple of us did, and I think what we kind of settled on was where Tom really seems to kind of take it to the next level is on these characters that were either former A-list characters and now B-list, or maybe just forgotten heroes, that he's really able to kind of piece together a really deep story, something that is harkening back to an older age without having to have the baggage of decades of heavy storytelling attached to it. So things like Mr. Miracle and Vision for him are just, fantastic. It's been one that we've really enjoyed reading, really enjoyed selling, and it has kind of sparked a little interest in Mr. Miracle. So a lot of our Mr. Miracle back issues have been flying out of the bins lately. We have a couple of Mr. Miracle action figures that came in that have been selling. So it's all in all, it's kind of got Mr. Miracle a little bit more face time, which is great.
I wondered about that because I knew you run across Mr. Miracle previous volumes in dollar bins and stuff all the time, and I wondered if this new interpretation, new telling would get people excited about some of those previous volumes and have them go hunt for that stuff. So it's good to hear that they're doing that, and I always like when kind of a new take reinvigorates the long box hunters to go find some of that stuff and dig it out and read it.
Yeah, and I think that the way that Tom has been writing the story, there's a lot of background and history that people need to learn about, so they're not afraid to jump in to find those back issues. Some of the, like the first one is usually between $20 and $60 book easily based on condition. Some areas it might go a little bit higher, but beyond that, most of them are fairly attainable for a reasonable price. And they also, IDW, I believe, also did a Mr. Miracle Artist Edition. So
really?
If people, like that old Kirby art and stuff and want to dig in on a little bit more full page size, I believe that there are plenty of shops that still have that, and it may actually still be orderable. I could actually check instead of just speculating, but
those are usually $125.
Yeah, they're usually around $100 to $125, just depending on what the price is. And a lot of those original ones, Jack Kirby Mr.
print.
Miracle Artist Edition is still available in stock through Diamond, and it includes seven nearly complete Mr. Miracle stories, issues 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and more pages from other things. Total of 200 pages, hardcover. So, yeah. That is out there. And then we can also order as of earlier this year the Mr. Miracle by Jack Kirby trade paperback, which has issues 1 through 18. And that is 448 pages, retails for $29.99. God bless you, DC.
Also, Batman the Red Death. That is not even... Or it just came out, right?
It just came out, and it's already going back to a second print. Oh, and I should add, Mr. Miracle #1 third print, #2 second print, and then this Batman Red Death #1 second print. All of them are FOC on Monday. So if anybody wants those, check with your retailers to get them. And if you can't, send me a message by noon Central Time on Monday, and I can get you squared away. But yeah, they're all FOC. But the Batman Red Death, we ordered up again for pretty much everything with DC. We've been continuing to increase our orders, and I think we have 2 on the shelf right now, and that was as of 4 o'clock this afternoon. So they're probably gone by now.
Yeah, I was kind of lukewarm on Metal at first, and it's sucking me in, man. I read the Nightwing, not the Nightwing, the
Teen Titans,
the Teen Titans Metal tie-in. I was like, ooh, this is cool. This is really cool. And so I'll go to Nightwing and Suicide Squad. I think I'm going to start following around and picking up all this stuff because although I don't really understand all of it, it's there's enough fun stuff in there that it really is kind of exciting.
You were a little bored with it before you read Metal 2, and I advised you to read Metal 2 because I liked how that did some things. Did that help change you at all?
I still think there's some stuff that's just convoluted and overly complex for me, but I there's enough cool stuff in it that I'm like, ooh, look at that character doing that thing. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And there's
you're going to get a lot of that in Red Death.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I am. When I said I wasn't going to do that for Secret Empire, and I ended up chasing a lot of those side quests, and I said I wasn't going to do that for Metal, and I'm doing it. So I'm a liar.
Well, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Sucked in. Yeah, they're sucking me in. That's good. That's good. Now let's see. Mighty Thor's coming out. The 700th issue. There's problems with the lenticular, right?
All the lenticulars are going to be interesting to see what shakes out. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think the one thing that we are all certain of is that our lenticular orders for Legacy #1 should be fully filled. I don't think there's any question on those. It's everything after that we're kind of waiting to see how it shakes out. But the big thing with Mighty Thor 700 is that Marvel is touting this as the beginning of Jane Foster's death. So for the spec hunters out there, just keep an eye.
I thought it was the death of Thor, not Jane Foster specifically, but people were just surmising that it was going to be Jane Foster.
So Jason Aaron did an interview where he talked about the cancer in Jane starting to take hold. So
okay, all right.
So that's the other big change, I guess, is that the unworthy Thor has cut his hair and found a shirt. but yeah, so for the spec folks out there, it sounds like there's going to be a couple stories or a couple of books in a story arc here about the death of what appears to be, according to Jason Aaron, the death of Jane Foster. So if anyone's out there looking for that, just be aware.
Yeah, that's sad. I really like that character, so it's too bad. But nobody dies forever.
That's right. She's like maybe she's going to be like a phoenix. She will rise again from the ashes.
There you go. Okay, what is Batman versus Harley Quinn Statue Gate? It sounds ominous.
Yeah, so there was a really, really high-end Batman versus Harley Quinn. I'm actually trying to look it up right now if I can find the real stuff. Statue that was solicited and came out, and it's Harley Quinn and Batman kind of battling on a Joker's what looks like a roller coaster, and there was a couple of people started asking some questions of DC, saying, hey, this something doesn't seem to be looking quite right here. The foot pegs aren't fitting in, and it looks like somebody at the warehouse tampered with the cape, because there's the hyenas are there. One's biting on Batman's cape, and so it's called Batman vs. Harley Quinn Battle Statue. And basically, what's going on is that the way that it was constructed, it appears as though one of the pegs that holds one of Batman's feet in position, you have to kind of pull his cape a little bit and bend it back so that you can get him slotted in. But the cape is not made of a bendable material. So people are trying to get these things put together, and they're snapping the capes.
Oh.
So if you...
And it's not cheap.
No, it's a $375 item.
Jeez.
Wow.
So if you are hunting for one of those, word to the wise, just look for a complete one. And if you ordered one, maybe don't put it together. But
it's a cool looking statue. I'm looking at a picture.
It's really cool, yeah. And it's big. I mean, it's a big piece. So DC actually put out a video on how to put it together and show it how they delicately kind of pulled the cape a little bit to get everything to slot in. But it's kind of interesting, and about the best thing that I can figure out is because one of the pegs is on Batman's leg that is bent, so the peg is kind of going almost perpendicular to where the other leg peg is. That's where the problem is coming in, where you got to try and separate it and bend it so you can get the pegs in far enough, and then the legs go back to where they should be. But yeah, so there's quite a little discussion going on about that. So if anybody had that statue on order, just be aware of it. Maybe don't put it together if you don't need to.
That's a road I do not want to go down. I do not want to start that slippery slope of these statues, because I saw a Moon Knight that was just like beautiful. I'm like, if I do that, I'm going to start wanting these things all the time, and none of them are cheap.
None of the good ones.
They really add up. None of the good ones are cheap. No. So, Kyle, you've got a couple statues, don't you?
Mostly video game related, and certain tchotchkes that come with collector's editions in that regards, but none of the super high end stuff.
Now, do you just carry them in the store, or do you have some of your own, Eric?
I don't have any of my own. I have a few of some of the smaller DC action figures, a couple of Funko Pops, more just like the desk tchotchke type things that I can have. I don't have any of the Diamond Select or the artifacts, the Kai statues, things like that. We do have some in the store, and we do have some people that come in and get them. But
I've almost purchased every single one of those Kai statues, so I'm so glad I haven't jumped there yet.
Yeah, some of them just have incredible detail on them. It's really cool. Drew, you were talking about a Moon Knight one. Is it the Marvel Premiere Moon Knight where he's kind of on the building, the rooftop corner?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah, it was really neat. It was in the back of previews once, and I was like, holy moly, that's awesome. But yeah, I always stayed away from that stuff earlier because I wouldn't want to not let my kid play with them, and if I had something that expensive, I wouldn't have let my kid play with them. And now she's older, so it wouldn't matter. But I guess I could now. But at the time, that was my rationale, because I definitely wouldn't want them breaking him if they were that nice.
Right. Yeah, or you got to buy a display case, and it's just...
Yeah, who wants to do that? I don't like the dust. So what are you going to do? Full Bleed by IDW is now a Kickstarter, you're saying?
Yes, so Full Bleed is a new thing coming up from IDW, kind of spearheaded by I think he's kind of the equivalent to Dan DiDio and Jim Lee at IDW, but his name's Dirk Wood. And what this is, it's going to be a quarterly comics and pop culture kind of comic-related hardcover magazine. And it's quarterly, and I think it's going to retail for $25 an issue, 200 plus pages, and they put it on Kickstarter. We're hoping to raise $50,000, and I think it's been out there maybe a week, a little bit over, and it's already over $60,000. They're doing some really cool stuff. They're not putting it through Diamond because of all sorts of different reasons with getting it in the catalog, getting storage space, etc. And but being quarterly, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I wanted to call it out because it looks like a really, really cool publication where they're going to do some behind-the-scenes interviews with certain people. Alan Moore, Stephen King, they're in the first issue. And this is really a publication by comics people for comics people. So it's going to have a lot of industry inside stuff. Could have a lot of really, really cool information. They're doing a neat promotion. So if you as an individual want to, back the Kickstarter, it's $25 and you get the first issue. You can do 100 and get the year's worth, and I think you get a free slip cover or something like that for the 4 of them. But for retailers, they're doing a buy one, get one free if you have a Diamond account, which really allows us to get a margin that we can actually resell them. So I would just urge you all, if anyone's interested in it, go to your retailer, ask them about it, and see if they're planning on getting any in. And if they aren't, then maybe you can convince them, and maybe they'll give you a couple bucks off. But I just wanted to toss it out there for everyone. I'm kind of on the fence. I think I might get one for myself because I kind of want to check it out and just see what it's like. I've met Dirk a couple of times at different retailer events, and he has a ton of energy and enthusiasm for the industry, which is really great. I don't know, if you see his picture in the actual previews catalog, they drew a little cartoon of him. He's got like Einstein hair. He's got a really gravelly voice. He's quite the persona, but I just wanted to call that out. I think it's really cool, and there might be some listeners out there that want to check it out. Okay,
let me poo-poo on your parade a little
Go
bit
ahead.
now.
Poo away.
Now, when Archie did this, they wanted to put a comic out through Kickstarter, we rained ire upon them until they slunk away and got in the corner. Why doesn't IDW just put this out? Why do they need a Kickstarter to do it?
So
they're a corporate comic company.
Sure. So I think that there's a couple of differences, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The first and to me biggest difference is that you're talking about a quarterly high-end specialty product versus a monthly periodical comic. And I think that's a huge difference. The other thing is that the volume of this book, as far as what they're printing, is going to be very small. It's going to be basically to order, and that's it. They're not going to have any excess stock other than, maybe a 10% overage for damages or something. So the stock is expected to be smaller, and from what I understand, the plan is that they're going to go to Kickstarter for each issue, and they're going to do that for 2 reasons. Number one, if a retail outlet does not want to carry the book, it provides retailers a safety net in saying these people can't go to Amazon and get it. They're not going to sell this on Amazon. It's only going to be through Kickstarter or through retailers. The cost of putting it in Diamond for such a low print run is basically going to have to jack the price up even more of the items. So they didn't want to do that, which is why they gave the retailers a 2-for-1, which is basically a 50% discount, which is roughly what IDW's standard discount is once you start to order a certain amount of product. So even if you're the tiniest of mom and pop shops in the world and you only have a 35% discount, you can still get this at a 50% discount and have that 50% markup. So they're kind of doing it as more of a help to the retailer and the consumer than a hindrance. Whereas with the Archie book, that was purely a give us money so that we can get this comic book out here and get it started and going, even though our entire publishing company is based on monthly comic periodicals. So there's a little bit of a difference. For me, I view it differently, but then again, like I said, it's not right or wrong. It's just kind of where it is.
That's cool. So it's kind of like a super fanzine almost. Then.
Yeah, it's basically a fanzine on steroids by industry people who have all the industry connections.
Okay, interesting. We've got some August numbers to discuss. So if you're playing along at home, you can head over to Comicron to check out the numbers. That's where I'll be viewing it. Or you can go to Comic Book Page or ICV2. They all have their numbers up. First and foremost, the overall market share once again goes to Marvel. 35%. of the dollars, and almost 40% of the units sold were Marvel books. DC came in at 31% of the books and 28% of the dollars. Of course, they do have the lower $2.99 price point. Image got around 10% for both units and dollars, which is where they've been for a while. They occasionally can get up into the 11s, but they kind of come back down a little bit depending on the big two and what their month is like. IDW kind of stays with its fourth place finish at almost 5% of the dollar share and almost 4% of the units. Dark Horse at 3% and 2% dollars to units. Dynamite 2.5% to 4% dollars to units. Boom 2% to 2% of dollars and units. Titan's just a percentage and a half. And then Viz and Oni around a percentage and under a 0.5% for Viz and under 0.82 for Oni. Nobody else really making the list. So how's this breakdown reflect in your shop, Eric? Is Marvel the big seller up there, followed by DC and Image?
Well, I don't know as if Marvel is necessarily the big seller. We get more volume of Marvel in spurts based on their deep discounts and their percentage tiers. And then we do have a couple of variant hunters that specifically do more Marvel than anything, especially because the DC ones are open to order.
Gotcha.
The toughest thing, and the thing that I think both Johns and Milton always talk about, is that their numbers are sell in, not sell through, right? So this is what retailers take in. James and I will be the first to admit that of all of the publishing companies, the one that we sell through darn near everything we have every week is DC. We continue to up our orders. Our DC new rack continues to get thinner and thinner, which is one of the greatest problems to have. So
it's possible that you might be bringing in more Marvel, like is reflected nationwide in the other stores bringing in more Marvel, but you're selling more DC.
Right. Our sell-through percentage is higher for DC. As far as the dollar share, that one I would have to actually go and take a look, but we make more on the Marvel variants. We do not raise the prices on our DC variants. We know a lot of stores in our area do. They'll add $2-3 to the open to order variants. But by and large, what we're bringing in probably is close to these percentages. Some weeks higher, some weeks lower for Marvel and DC based around it. But then Image basically lives and dies on its main staples and then the number ones that are coming out. So obviously Walking Dead and Saga.
Right. and then number ones.
Right, and then predominantly number ones. I mean, there's some ongoing titles that we have on sub lists, but we don't tend to stack too deep on Image titles. Just as a general rule, think like we did for things like Revival while it was still going. Just there's certain books that have the pedigree and are there that we'll get an extra couple for the shelf, but by and large, most of what we're trying to get to the back shelf is very little. Dark Horse, IDW, Dynamite, they're all kind of down there. Boom. I'm going to be interested to see if the Boom numbers go up here over the next couple of months because of Boom's retailer-friendly program that they have that allows us the first 2 issues of most new series are returnable, full returnability. So it'll be interesting to see if those numbers tick up. And we also had IDW's Star Wars Adventures. I think will be on the next month, so that one might be interesting to see how it changes.
Did that do well for you guys?
Yeah, it did all right. We ended up bringing in quite a few of them because they had some variants that we had one of our customers want. So we did. I think we brought in 150 copies, something like that. Which is a ton considering normally an IDW book for us gets maybe 3, 4, unless it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then there's a pretty healthy chunk. Just kind of look down the other publishers and see if there's anything that we probably. So Aftershock is down pretty low, 0.5% of retail market share and 0.5% of unit market share. We do pretty good with Aftershock. That's one that actually does treat us well. Aftershock for us outdoes Fantagraphics, Action Lab, Archie, Valiant, Random House, Avatar, Oni, Viz, and it's neck and neck with Titan. Titan, we do have a couple of Doctor Who folks, so that does help. But yeah, Aftershock...
That's 5 or 6 comics a month right there, just for Doctor Who.
Right. But yeah, Aftershock, I think, is an outlier on this list for us. Yeah, and Viz, we do pull in manga, so we have some Viz stuff that comes in, a lot of Disney comics that come in. Trying to think, Yen Press, we also get a couple of manga from them.
Are you and James equally versed in manga, or one of you kind of is the manga expert?
Sam is probably the biggest manga expert, and then myself, and I don't know if James knows how to spell manga yet. We've been working on it. We've got the tracing letters out for him, but he hasn't quite finished the worksheet.
Because it's a wide world. So yeah, I think that would be tough for a retailer that didn't know the market very well, what to bring in, besides Attack on Titan and a couple of the other big ones. I mean, I think it'd be a challenge because there are so many books.
Yeah, and I guess that's a hat tip to James. So we had a very minimal manga presence because he didn't know anything about it, and he is by and large the one in the shop. Sam's there, obviously, Nights and Friday Night Magic and pre-release things, but James is the one that's there. Probably 60% of the hours that the shop is open, and he's just not comfortable or wasn't comfortable selling manga. However, as we did our quarterly comic crawls and would look at the shops, he would see each one had a manga presence, and he kind of said, okay, Eric and Sam, you guys know what sells. He's gone on and done the research to see things like, Ghost in the Shell's got some hype coming up, things like that. So he's aware, he knows what some of the bigger title names are, but he's really given us the liberty to say, hey, if you want to try manga, let's start pulling in some of these titles. And so we've got a mix of things like Death Note, Attack on Titan, Ghost in the Shell, Berserk, Bleach, Naruto, One Punch Man. We've got things like that, but then we also have some of the newer things. Like for kids, we have the Disney Kalala Princess, which sold really well for us. There's a new series out that I've been kind of championing to a lot of people, and everyone that's gotten it has loved it, is Golden Kamui. The second volume just came out. It's fantastic. I'd highly recommend that. So, I mean, it's really, manga is one of those things that it does take a lot of knowledge to kind of be an expert, but there's some really good little pockets in there that you can find. Like myself, I like Death Note, Golden Kamui, Black Butler. My wife reads a lot more manga than I do. Hers is a completely different style than what I like, and that's kind of one of the cool things about mangas. It's a very wide world. I think it ties back to 4 or 5 main styles of who they're written for: younger teenage boys, teenage girls, adult boys, adult girls, things like that. But it's good stuff, and we're starting to see a growing presence of it.
Yeah, the subset of teenage girl manga and young adult women that read manga, and it's a totally different batch of manga that is, they're cosplaying and reading religiously and devouring all of it. It's really a cool gateway for that audience into comic shops. So I think that's the growth potential there, definitely.
And it's a good value proposition because they're usually between $9 and $12 for 200 to 300 pages. So, it's similar to the Image, $9.99 first trade volumes. You really do get a good value for your money as far as content.
Very cool. Well, August was a big month compared to July overall. We're up 9.5% over July, and August in graphic novels were up 20% over July. So either July was terrible or August was really good. And so I don't know if your July was bad or if you just felt August was stronger.
I think August was stronger because we had, I believe, 3 Secret Empire issues. You've got Metal, and Batman continues to be strong. So I just think from that alone. Oh, and I think we had some maybe four generations titles. So you had a lot of Marvel special issues. I don't know if they're calling them events, but obviously Secret Empire was event. But there's a lot of additional books out there that were capturing more than just the subscriber list. So yeah, I would say August was up for that reason, and probably that reason alone.
Now the bad news. August 2017 versus August 2016, comics down 25%. Graphic novels down 10%. And year to date, comics are down 10%, graphic novels down 12%. So 2017 not as strong as 2016. Is that all because of Rebirth?
Yep, because
last year?
Let's see, the August numbers for last year, you had... Oh, wait, let me get myself on the right page here. So... Yeah, so we had last year at this time, the August numbers had just a ridiculous amount of number ones. We had things like the Harley Quinn number 1 was out there. We had All-Star Batman number 1, Suicide Squad 1, Suicide Squad Rebirth. You had Supergirl number 1, Deathstroke Rebirth, Superwoman. So there's a lot of number ones. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books over 100,000 last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 90,000. So I mean, we were just putting out paper products like no one's business. So that's going to be the big difference between the 2 years.
Now, when it comes to shipping comics, nobody does it better than Marvel. Marvel shipped 106 comics in August compared to DC's 78. Image's strong 62. And IDW did 56, and then everybody else was 30 and below. And the number of comics they shipped. The troubling number there for me is Image's shipping 62 comics in order to capture 10% of the market, and DC, just a few more in order to capture 30% of the market. So they're much more efficient with the amount of comics that they're shipping. Their average comic is selling much, much stronger, and DC's trying to make up, or Image is trying to make up for it in volume, a la Marvel, and it's really got to be pulling their average down. So it's like you said, it's Walking Dead, Saga, and then everything else.
Yeah. However, you switch over, and if you end up looking at trades when the trade numbers, I think the trade numbers are released. I can see them anyways. I'm assuming you guys can.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the top ones. You've got Paper Girls is number 1, God Country's number 3, Killer Be Killed's number 4, Reborn is number 7, Old Guard is number 9. So I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 10 being Image trades. So even though their single issues are selling less, they are definitely powerhouses when it comes to the trades, and I know that Amazon reflects that as well in their sales. When you start looking at like where Saga and Paper Girls, and I'm sure God Country too, where they rank as far as graphic novel sales charts go, they're usually pretty high.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're definitely doing well in the Barnes and Noble space, Amazon space, and other retailers where they can. That's not really reflected in diamond numbers. Mm-hmm. Definitely with those trades. But we don't really have visibility on that, unfortunately, to put hard data with that. But anecdotally, we see it, and we do occasionally see book scan numbers, and those book scan numbers really kind of show the power of the mass market,
right,
and the folks buying them that way. And don't get me started on libraries, where there's a whole audience of people out there that unfortunately never set foot in great shops like Kowabunga. They just go to their library to read, and get their comics that way. There's nothing wrong with that, and then they save themselves a lot of money. But those are never reflected as well.
Correct.
Let's look at some actual comics and some of the sales numbers that they did. Top in the charts, Dark Knight's Metal, 262,000 copies sold to retailers, almost 261,997
at $5 a piece.
At $5 a piece, that's a home run. It's a really good number.
Yeah. And there was, I think, four or five variant covers, because you had the Midnight cover, you had a Jim Lee cover, you had, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 different covers actually, now that I think about it. But no, it sold phenomenally well. We did have some folks doubling up and getting multiple covers, but by and large, it sold amazingly well. We got in, I think we got 20 additional copies of it and sold through all of those as well. So, I mean, I think we were at between 80 and 90 copies is what we ordered. I think we ordered 85 and we sold through all of them. So that for us is a huge thing. We've got very few books. Obviously, for those that haven't been to Kowabunga, we are a smaller shop in a smaller metro area. So a normal high-selling book for us is somewhere in the 20 to 30 range. And for us to bring in 85 copies and sell through all of them in essentially 2 weeks is pretty insane. The only book that has done better, the only 2 books that have done better were Star Wars #1, the relaunch that Marvel did a couple years ago, and then the best one that we've had to date is Rebirth #1, the Rebirth special.
See, I don't know if I don't think I could do your job. I just think I would be too gun shy to say, let's bring in 85 $5 comics because I think it's going to be big. And you it turns out you were that was a conservative order.
Now you want to know what one's going to be tough is Doomsday Clock.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sure what you're going to do with that? Because it could be big or it could be a dud.
And lenticulars to think of.
Yeah, the dud thing isn't really a concern for us because of the Power Horse team that's going to be doing it. And just the sheer amount of hype and excitement that people have had for it. It's really that question of, I guarantee you we will go deeper than we did on... We will probably go at least as deep as we did on Rebirth, potentially deeper.
And that was more than Metal?
Yes, we did over 100 copies of Rebirth. I think it was close to 140 copies by the time we did 2nd, 4th, and 5th printings, because I think we missed the 3rd printing.
Well, that's cool. I was I ordered one copy, and I was like on the fence. I was like, is this going to be any good? I don't know. Is it worth $5? So I can't even imagine bringing in 85 copies and hoping that it's a hit. There's definitely kind of a gambling aspect that you guys are playing with up there, just to kind of you're big time speculators on what the market's going to bear.
Yeah, and one of the things that actually was really great was DC put out a checklist of all the metal books that were coming out, and what I ended up doing was creating half-page versions of that and then set them out, and we basically use that as a, check off the books you want before we have to place the orders. And so we had a pretty good sense, at least, of our regulars, kind of what they were going to look for. So that made it a lot easier for us to base our numbers somewhere and then figure out where we're going to go on top of that. So it actually, that worked out really well. DC has been phenomenal with that. As of right now, the understanding is that Doomsday Clock is just a 12-issue series, that there's no tie-ins, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that until I get the final word. Yeah. So that was helpful, and that really does alleviate some of it. But yeah, there's a lot of, I guess what some people would say guesswork, and what others might like James and myself would like to consider more of a scientific approach.
Yeah. Oh, I am sure that you guys have numbers and data and all that to back it up, and probably a little bit of hunch, but for the most part, I think you guys obviously know what you're doing, especially when you're putting a number at a big number, I think, on those, and then selling through. So I think you're probably throwing a number out there, maybe just ratcheting back just a little bit to be on the safe side, or you're not, and that's you going all out, and you still under guessed what the market would bear.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been a DC specific thing, honestly. Some of the Marvel ones we can speculate good on. Like we dialed back pretty heavy on Secret Empire 2, 3, and 4, and ended up that we had to bring in more, which is a good problem to have. We didn't expect it to stay as strong as it was. But yeah, with DC, with their rebirth and a lot of their events that are going on now, the Justice League Suicide Squad event, things like that, they've been really strong for us. They've done a good job of marketing it. They've done a good job of sticking to schedules. They've done a really good job of promising and delivering on what they were going to promise. So really no complaints.
Yeah, very nice. Well, in addition to a bat-centric book in Dark Knight's Metal, we've got number 2 and number 3 on the list is Batman 28 and 29 at 104,000 and 100,000. So it for now is still maintaining its lock as the best-selling ongoing title above 100,000. Looks to me like it's probably going to drop below that unless something interesting happens with another proposal or something exciting to get those numbers back up again. It's kind of dipped below a little while ago, and although it's Mr. Consistency, Batman is Mr. Consistency, it is kind of looks like it's going to be in the 90s here pretty soon. And let's hope it can goose back above 100,000.
And we talked about that before, exactly how to keep it above 100,000. And post proposal juggernaut, War of Jokes and Riddles has been a great storyline and enough to keep it bolstered. But one small hiccup with a bad story arc, and it'll easily dip down.
Yeah, it seems like Batman readers are a little more fickle, and that's not been the case previously. So I'm not sure what's changed. Just the switch to Tom King lost a few people, I think, and it's been a little more fluid.
Yeah,
and but still very successful.
Yeah, I mean, Batman 23 dipped down to 96,542, which I think was the first time Batman had been under 100,000 since before the New 52 launch. But it bounced right back
and
because 24 was the proposal.
Yeah, the podcasting community had the sky falling when it dipped below. And oh my goodness, what was going to happen? And then it righted the ship very quickly. We also have 3 Secret Empire titles at number 4, number 6, and number 7. The 10th issue, the final issue of Secret Empire, is the 4th bestseller at 86,000. Secret Empire 8 is at number 6 with 81,000 copies, and Secret Empire 9 is at number 7 with 77,000 copies. Been a solid event. I really enjoyed it. I read it and really liked it. Some folks did not, and then there was, I think it was pretty polarizing. It was either something you enjoyed or something you didn't enjoy. I don't know if there was a lot of mediocre folks in Secret Empire. Has it continued to be a strong seller, even though you've kind of pulled your orders back a little bit on it?
Yeah, it sold pretty consistently across the run, and I think there were a couple things that helped it and a couple things that hurt it, and they offset. So I think the things that helped it were that the whole Cap being a Hydra agent did bring some intrigue. It brought a new angle, and there are some people that are diehard Nick Spencer fans. So those were kind of the couple things that were going for it. I think the couple things that were going against it were that everybody knew the toys had to be put back in the toy box after it was done because there were 3 events stacked up behind it waiting to go. So it was kind of like no matter what happens, we're going to get back to the baseline. And I think another thing that hurt it is, again, another Marvel event that runs long, that misses a date here or there, adds books. It continues to grow. And then you had probably the biggest problem behind it was that you disenfranchised a lot of people who didn't want to read the Hydra Cap, and this is one of those things where I wonder how it's going to do in trade. I have a hunch it's going to do pretty good in trade over the course of a decade or two, because it will be a one-off story, something that was totally separate from or different from what the normal cap is. So people might find that interesting, but that was definitely a negative. And then the reason, so looking at, you got 10 that was in the fourth spot, and issues 8 and 9 down at 6 and 7. And I went back and did a recheck, and as I suspected, that 10th issue actually had 9 different covers on it, 8 variants in a regular cover. So the ones before that had 5 and 6 different covers. So you've got, additional 3-4 covers. I had a 1 in 10, 1 in 50, a greater than 125% of Civil War 2 number 8, greater than 150% of Civil War 2 number 8. So if you start factoring those in, and I think that's where you get your balance of that roughly 9,000 issue increase, which is a little more than 10% of the orders. So people upping by 3%, 4% here and there across the board, and then grabbing those variants along the way could have been enough to bump it up there.
Yeah. I am now starting to go with the camp that I think Marvel's doing this stuff on purpose. I can't imagine that they, accidentally, thought it was going to be an 8-issue miniseries, and then it just accidentally bloated to 10 plus an alpha, and they seem to do this over and over again, and it has to be on purpose, right? It has to be planned that way. It can't be an accident over and over again.
I don't know, Kyle, what do you think? I'll let you answer first.
I'm not real sure on that one.
Yeah,
I've got no opinion.
I think that, truth be told, I don't think that it's actually Marvel intentionally doing this.
So many times, though, it's happened?
Yeah, so being where I sit and looking at things, if you look at the events that Marvel's doing versus the event or events that DC is doing, there's a lot more planning and lead up to these DC events, and there's less of them.
Seems to be.
And I get concerned because, we talk about you've got Secret Empire going on while you've got Generations starting, while you've got Legacy looming, all of these things, and it's kind of like they're trying to rush out too much. And I think that what it might be is they sit down and they have an editorial discussion, and whoever it is that's being the lead of the event says, well, this is my plan. We start at A, go to B, and these are all the little offshoots along the way. And I think it's going to take me roughly 8 issues or 9 issues with a 0-issue lead-in. And they kind of go with it, but then as the story is being told, they created the marketing material, they got the push and started going before they actually had any real pen to paper and couldn't figure out exactly how many issues it was going to be. I think that's kind of what's happening. Whereas you sit and thinking back to The Button, we knew it was going to be 4 issues. Right. It was 4 issues.
It was 4 issues. They came out on time.
Right, well, the last one I think was a week late because there was a FedEx issue or something like that. But
they didn't do a Button Alpha because they had more story to tell.
Right, there was no Alpha, there was no added 5th book, and there was nothing that happened after The Button that came out before the final issue of The Button.
Yeah.
So and obviously, like with Metal, it's there. We know what it is. It's not changing. Everything so far has been on time. Doomsday Clock, we know all that. So I feel like Marvel is...
so then it's editorial. It's an editorial problem. The editorial staff at DC is stronger than the editorial staff at Marvel. Marvel's editorial staff cannot keep the trains running on time and is not as skilled at doing what it takes to create cohesive storylines that transition into each other in a proper sequence.
Yeah,
Once you got the 107 books for Marvel, like we talked about, there's just so friggin' many of them that there's just a lot of balls in the air. And like I've stayed out of most of these for I don't know, the last 4 or 5 different events ago. I just kind of bounced and haven't really found a reason to jump back into any of them. But people like them. People continue to like them. People continue to buy that mysterious 10th issue that was not scheduled. People weren't completely crazy when a lot of the big reveals at the end were spoiled by, Hawkeye books and Hulk books that, were ahead of it. So it doesn't really seem to matter.
Well, I think it does matter, and it definitely irks people. But, it's that I'm in for a penny, in for a pound kind of thing, where I've got 8 issues in, and I'm just going to see how they wrap it up in the actual context. I hope you guys don't mind, but like James and I, we try and stay relatively neutral or positive on our podcast. But can I go just slightly negative for a bit on Marvel?
The views of Comics for Fun and Profit do not reflect those of Kowabunga Comics in any way. I apologize for that. I'll save those for our cast later when I can rail against the machine.
So, kind of how it appears to me, and this is Eric's personal opinion. This is not Kowabunga's opinion, or James. This is mine. But I feel like Marvel right now has been in this position of anything you can do, I can do better. Right. So we had Rebirth by DC. We now have Legacy by Marvel.
Yeah.
We had lenticular covers by DC with the button. We now have, when we had 4 lenticular covers by DC to kick this off, we now have 52 or 53 lenticular covers coming for Marvel. We had returned to the original numbering for Action Comics and Detective Comics. We now have, 17,000 books returning to original numbering that is speculative at best in some of the cases for Marvel. And it's just like this constant, it just feels so forced and so like, well, they did it and it's working good for them. We should do it, and we're going to do it better because we are Marvel. And fine, if that's your business model, that's fine. And as James and I have talked about, if doing the variant game and getting the books to the shelf is your business model, great. That's great. And that's why I think one of the things that when John and I had done the episode talking about the numbers and we had talked about coming up with a publisher scorecard, there should be a way to kind of suss that out and be able to identify the business models. DC has abandoned that variant tier mindset probably 99% across the board. There may be a few that slip through here and there for special issue of something, or maybe a Vertigo book or something like that, but by and large, they've gotten rid of that because they realized that it was falsifying their sales, and they'd rather sell on strong stories. Now, I think Marvel, in their heart of hearts, wants to sell on strong stories as well, but they're so married into this idea of these variant tiers and the Marvel math that they're not really, they're kind of maybe cutting off their nose to spite their face in some cases, where they're just putting too much out and people aren't buying it. Now, the retailers, we make out pretty good because of all their variants. For those that want to buy the variants, we mark them up to what they're going to cost us plus a little bit of profit, and we do great. And now we've got all this excess stock that we sell for $1. Well, what does that say about the Marvel product? If James and I go to a show and we take 5 long boxes of stuff that we're selling for $1, and it's all Marvel books that have come out in the last 6 months, what does that tell you? That tells me that a $3.99 book is really worth $1, and that's not really good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, you don't like that. Yeah.
But I'm going to sell it because I want that money back.
That makes sense.
That was my sidebar.
Gotcha. And Marvel continues to kind of dominate the top 10. Besides those top 3 DC, we also have a couple Generations titles. Wolverine and All New Wolverine is in 5th place with 85,000 copies sold. And Unworthy Thor and Mighty Thor Generations at 76,000 copies sold into retailers, comes in at rank 8. Then we have a couple of Star Wars rounding out the top 10. Star Wars 34 and 35 at 9 and 10 at 66,000 copies each. And our darling favorite comic, Walking Dead, fell out of the top 10, Kyle.
By less than 100 books.
By less than 100 books. It gets pushed out by the mighty Marvel machine. and DC Machine, and now is a number 11 with its 65,885 copies. Now, those two Generation books were fun reads. I enjoyed them both. I don't understand.
But those two Generations books are Marvel's two best writers, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely right. And they were fun, and it took somebody explaining to me that there was a panel in Secret Empire where there was like a flash, and characters disappeared, and that was when Generations happened. I didn't realize that actually happened in Secret Empire after I've read it, and I'd also read Generations, and I had no idea that's when it happened, because there's really no rhyme or reason for how these characters are getting pulled in through time, at least in the ones that I've read. And so they're fun stories, but they make no sense. Have you read any of them?
I did none.
You didn't read a single one?
Mm-mm.
Wow. I'm going to take away your comic card.
For not reading these kind of gimmicky... Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's gone. You're going to lose it. Okay, that's the stuff I wanted to talk about in the top 10. You guys feel free to just bounce wherever you want. What stuck out to you in this in the sales charts? Anything interesting that really you wanted to bring up?
So I took a look at issues that were non-event, non-number one, ongoing titles, and kind of where they were at. Now, I used anything over issue 10 as kind of my benchmark, so there's one thing that's up for debate here, but basically what I got was, for the top 10 ongoing titles above issues 10 and above, you had Batman 28, Batman 29, Star Wars 34 and 35, Walking Dead was number 5, All-Star Batman 13, Detective Comics 962, ASM 31, Flash 28, and Detective Comics 963. The only one that I might be willing to scooch in there is Star Wars Darth Vader 4 between All-Star Batman and Walking Dead, but it wasn't over 10, so I kept it out. But in looking at that, if you take that as your top 10, so your top 10 ongoing greater than 10 issues, you've got a breakdown of DC 6, Marvel 3, and Image 1, which is a complete flip almost, and a doubling where you look at market share. You had Marvel with 30-some%, DC with 20%, Image with 10%. You still have Image with 10%, but now you're looking at DC with 60% and Marvel with 30% of the top 10 ongoing.
Their line is stronger.
Right.
Their line is stronger down the line, and it's that says that they have healthier titles, right? That's what that says. It says that they have a healthier product line.
It's more predictable, and when you have more predictability, you can make better informed investment decisions as a company, because you can look at the numbers and say, well, there's going to be Marvel books that come in here, and there's going to be an Image number 1 that comes and jumps in here or whatever. But by and large, when you have predictability like that across the board, to me, that means that you can start to make some really, really big decisions, because you can project your profits a lot easier.
Because you've got your Flash fans, they're going to stick around. Aquaman readers are going to stick around because it's a quality product, and it's been going for 28 issues now.
Right, and too that because you're not doing incentive variants, you're not doing deep discounts, you can very easily say, again, this is what our profit is going to be on these books. Whereas with Marvel, when you've got all the variants, you've got your deep discounts at different levels, it makes it a heck of a lot harder to try and plan ahead, because you're just totally guessing on numbers that you don't even have. So that was one thing that I kind of looked at that I found.
Those are interesting numbers, and I'm always interested in comics beyond the honeymoon period of a launch, and their health, and those that's interesting. And I didn't realize just how dominating the numbers would be for DC. It's very telling. One thing that jumped out to me was my beloved Aftershock Comics. I was all in for a while. I've dropped off of a few of these books, but I still really like the publisher and a lot of what they're doing. Their top seller is Baby Teeth this month with 8,000 copies at rank 244. We've got Unholy Grail's second issue at 7,000. One of its longer running titles is Animosity at 6,000 copies. It fell down to 284. Jimmy's Bastard from Garth Ennis, who will be making an appearance at the end of October at Kowabunga Comics.
And
at the
we
World's...
just today, as we're recording this, got our black and white and color variant images from Phil Hester.
Oh my goodness, for the cover?
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. They're an homage to one of the old James Bond movie posters, and Phil will be joining us on October 28th. So,
are those limited to 500 and each?
300 and 600.
300 and 600.
Yep.
That's interesting. Okay, so when I come up, and we don't have to talk about this if you don't want to. When I come up, that's like $10 for one of those. 15.
We are working out the pricing. I think what it's going to be is 10 for the color, 20 for the black and white, or 25 for the set. Don't quote me on it, but we will be pre-selling them as well online.
I'll take
we're waiting for the trade dress to get applied and everything, but that'll be the plan. And then also we will be happy to submit to CBCS for signature verification with both of those guys there.
Because Phil will be there.
Yep.
And
Garth.
And Garth Ennis. Nice. And will it have Cowabunga stamped on it somewhere?
On the back cover. We didn't want to clutter the front with our logo. It's not a wraparound cover, so it'll be probably like a solid color back cover. And so we're just going to have our Cowabunga cow logo, blue button logo on the back.
That is so cool, man. Congratulations on your own variant.
Yeah.
That seems pretty cool to me. That's very impressive.
It's very cool. Aftershock has been amazing to work with on it as far as their pricing goes. They're definitely one of the most competitive companies out there to do a variant cover with. So, yeah, it's been great. And the list of creators that they gave us as options for the variant cover were insane. I mean, it's not every day you get a list where Joe Jusko's on it. Things like that. So it was really cool. And it just worked out amazing that Phil was able to do it, and he thankfully lives relatively close by and was excited to come back up to Cowabunga. He did awesome last year when he was up at the shop, and so it'll be great.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome, man. So and Jimmy's Bastards is really good.
It is.
It's a really good comic.
Yeah, it's a fun twist on James Bond.
We definitely need more than 5,600 people copies being ordered into stores. We need to get that number up, and that's crazy. So then we've got Shipwreck, which I've dropped off, and Altars, which I'm still reading, but it's only down at 2,000 copies. Nobody likes Altars, so I'm on an island all by myself there. But I do enjoy the Aftershock, and it's a good publisher, and I want to support them.
Things that jump out to me is I've been trying to keep an eye on Action Comics and where it sits in anticipation of the ramp up when we hit close to 1,000.
Oh yeah.
Because we're about 6 months away from that, because we were sitting at 985 and 986 in the month of August.
Yeah.
So we're approximately 6 months away from 1,000. So I'm just kind of wondering, with 40,000 books currently selling in the month of August, when we're going to ramp that number up, and how many people are going to try to grab that whole lead into 1,000, and when the time to jump on that will be.
That's interesting, because you know that's going to be a $10 book. It's going to have everybody and their brother that ever did a Superman story guesting on it. That'll be an exciting issue, and it'll do really, really well.
I'm just curious whether that'll be the culmination of an arc or the beginning of a new one.
Oh, it's going to be,
or a one-off.
It'll be a one-off. It'll be a one-off celebration, like Superman 400 was. That'd be my guess. Eric might know and can't say, because he's privy to advanced information like that, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no. They've not given us anything yet on what that issue is going to have. There's been some discussion on the DC boards about will there be a DC-based event behind it, and DC has told us that they're still working out details on if or what they want to do. My guess is if they're going to do something, it would be like a midnight release variant or something. The one thing that I'm not sold that they're going to do a big like $10, 80-page giant thing. And the reason I say that is because with the big Wonder Woman birthday that came out, they kept the Wonder Woman title kind of rocking and rolling, and then they did a special Wonder Woman $7.99 issue that was kind of that anthology title that had 12 or 14 different creators on it. So I don't know if they'll take the same approach with Action, if they'll kind of do something more in that vein and maybe publish maybe like Action Comics #1 with Action Comics 1000 or something. So it'll be interesting to see. There's so many different things that they can do.
That would be okay. Yeah, that's like what Spider-Man did,
right?
Where they stuck another comic in there. I guess that would be all right as well. I hope they do a lot because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
That and Detective hitting 1,000 is a big deal. It won't be a big deal eventually because everybody's going to hit that with a lot of these numbers, but those two are big deals, and they should really try to celebrate it with something special.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be something. It'll just be how much. I think that. So it's kind of hard. I think as far as superheroes go, Superman he's the man. He kind of started the whole thing. Uh-huh. But as far as obviously the sales charts indicate, Batman's twice as popular. So it'll be interesting when we hit Detective 1000 how that varies, because we don't have Superman Day. We have Batman Day, but we don't have a Superman Day.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be interesting to see.
Is Batman Day 30th?
Batman Day is tomorrow, the 23rd.
It's tomorrow. Did you guys do anything? Did you bring those comics in?
We got a couple of each, but I don't know who. Somebody did poor planning, either Wizards of the Coast or DC Comics. I'm going to go with Wizards of the Coast, but this weekend is the big pre-release of the next Magic: The Gathering set. So Sam is he's at the shop. He'll be there from midnight till 4 a.m. Shepherding people as they play the new set. So we've got those events. We have one tonight, one tomorrow, and one or two on Sunday. So that's going to pretty much eat it up, plus the Saturday Pokemans.
I forgot about that. Yeah, those new Magic sets are a big deal.
They are a huge deal.
Yeah, big deal. Let's see.
The other thing I wanted to put rank 82 Robotech #1 at 26,864. That's a good low number for that book, and should keep the value of it pretty high.
But not as low as Mech Cadet U from Boom. Its first issue, 8,400 copies, and it's now greenlit as an ongoing series, and there might be some long-term investment potential there.
And I have a couple of them.
Yeah, and you can get the winking second print, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so, right?
You've got the winking second print, yes, of Robotech.
Also, I'm excited about Lady Killer 2, its fifth and final issue. My beloved Joelle Jones, her.
Man, that sounds creepy when you say it like that.
I know it sounds creepy, but I don't care. And 8,500. Yeah, she's married now. So it doesn't matter. She can be my beloved. 8,500 copies in for that fifth issue. That's good. Maybe that means that there will be a volume 3. That's a solid ending to that volume. And she did this week's Batman 33 art. So maybe there's more to come from her DC tie-in, and we hope to see exactly what her book is going forward. Because I still haven't seen anything in any solicits that shows an ongoing that she'll be on.
I'm hopeful for Lady Killer 3. I think that her trade sales are probably better than the single issue sales.
Yeah. Yeah. They've got legs, and it's a really good It's a really good series, really good character. And this volume ended really well, so it was exciting stuff.
Don't give it away. I'm a trade waiter on this one.
Oh, are you? Are you? Rosebud was the sled. Lark's Killer, the Bill Willingham book from Devil's Due, did 7,800 copies for its first issue. I haven't read that one yet. I have it in my stack to read. But that's a small number for the Fables guy, right?
Yep.
Thought that would be a little higher.
Question for you guys at rank 170. New Superman, volume 14, sitting at 12,339. Is that one dead yet, or do we have a line on that one? What as the first rebirth title to bite the dust?
Yeah, no clue. We thought it was dead 3 or 4 issues ago, so we're not really sure what the plan is with it. But
Blue Beetle's lower than that. I'm off. I'm sorry.
However, Blue Beetle was not expected, and given the main hype that New Superman was.
Mm-hmm.
You've got DC Comics Bombshells are underneath it. You got Blue Beetles underneath it.
Cyborg's underneath it.
Yeah, that's one that I wouldn't be surprised if kind of fades.
Do they have to plug Cyborg along until the movie hits, and then they can make a decision on that one?
Well, so James and I go back and forth on this a lot, and we're both in agreement that putting Martian Manhunter aside and bringing Cyborg in to the Teen Titans was shame, because Martian Manhunter's just a much deeper and in our opinions better character. Nothing against Cyborg, definitely. But we just appreciate Martian Manhunter's place more. And that's actually a question that I've tossed out to DC and I haven't gotten an answer on, is will we get a Martian Manhunter series somewhere, or at least get them back in with maybe the Titans? So I don't know.
But kids nowadays love computers, so Cyborg.
They do, but when we get kids that come in that are talking about Teen Titans, they're usually talking about everybody but Cyborg. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, the girls talk about Starfire and Raven, and the boys tend to talk about some boys talk about Robin, but most of them talk about Beast Boy.
Huh. Interesting. An Image, after you get by Walking Dead and Saga, 7 to Eternity continues to sell really well. It's in the top 100 and selling almost 24,000 copies. It's a pretty book, but I kind of lost interest in the plot. But I think it's the art's fantastic. Killer Be Killed is still super strong. It's a great book. And it's selling 18,500 copies and is at rank 119 for its 11th issue, and kind of really righted the ship when it got away from that the demon angle, and it was really kind of focusing on the guy and not kind of muddying the waters as much. I really think it got a lot stronger. You guys reading either one of those still?
Killer Be Killed, yep.
I'm off.
Yep.
Killer Be Killed, I think I'll do trade, but because I actually really enjoyed the first trade of that.
Yeah, it was great. You still reading I Hate Fairyland? Are you behind on that one?
I'm behind on that, but it's always fun. It's just a fun read. You can pick that up at any point in time, and it's just a lot of fun. Scotty Young just does some really cool stuff with art.
Jordy Belair's foray into comics writing with Redlands #1 hits rank 134 and sold 16,000 copies into retailers. So not the big splash we thought she'd make, but it's still a strong debut, and we'll see if she's got legs.
I have to be honest, I think this was kind of a quiet entry, and I think part of that is because retailers, I know some retailers that I've talked to that didn't have it said, "Oh, we completely missed it. We didn't even piece it together." And I mean, I don't know how you don't. Apparently, you're not looking at previews very well, but I do think that there was some of that. It'll be interesting to see what the issue 2 numbers look like, if they are going to take that customary dip, if they're going to stay pretty level.
It went into second print real quick.
It did go into second print really quick,
yeah.
and so that's why I'm wondering what the second issue is going to bring.
Yeah. Southern Bastard 17, last one we're going to get for a while. That sold almost 14,000, and
it was 30 weeks late.
It was 30 weeks late, and with a nice little note saying we're not going to get one for a while, and hope to be back sometime. So I don't know what that means.
And you also jumped over East of West, which was I think 14 weeks late. Another.
Yeah, that's a book. I'm surprised it's still doing as well as it does. There's been so many delays between issues of that book, and I thought it lost its way a long time ago, but it's got a dedicated fan base.
And then at 159, Redneck, and Redneck actually had a 21% drop between 4 and 5, so it was almost 17,000 on the previous issue, and it's down under 14.
Yeah, I don't know if Donny Cates has got the magic touch that we thought he did. Kind of losing favor on some of his books. Shirtless Bear Fighter continues to sell way more than it should, but that's fine. It's still selling. It sells better than Sex Criminals and.
Are you guys reading it?
I am. Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
Yes, but yet we keep reading it.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous train wreck that I have to keep reading.
But it does make me hungry for pancakes.
Yeah. And then my beloved Manifest Destiny got to its 30th issue. Hats off, kudos. It's a good run. 6,500 copies into stores. I'm assuming this is a strong trade seller. I hope so. So it's a wonderful book by wonderful creators, and not enough people read it.
Invincible.
At least in single issue.
Invincible's issue 139 at 11,592. I think there's only about 5 of those left after this one.
Yeah, and then it's over. And have you been reading these? Are you going to save it for trade? Because I've been the ones I've been reading. It's just been nonstop battle. And I'm like, is this how it's going to go out? I don't know. It's not been great.
I'm curious to see how exactly Kirkman finishes a long run series.
Yeah.
That'll tell me a lot about his future plans for Walking Dead or Outcast or any of that.
Yeah,
if he's able to do it.
I never thought of that. Yeah, we'll see how he sticks the landing. Letter 44 from Oni Press. The final issue, 35 issues. Good job, Charles Soule. I think this is one of your best comic works. But 2,400 people checked it out. So it went out with a whimper. Hopefully this does well in trade. It was a really good story, which I still haven't finished. So I hope that last issue is good. There's Valiant's offerings. They used to be in the mid-teens throughout their line. They were pretty solid, from like 12 to 18,000 per title per month, and they had a couple stronger than others. Now they're lucky to have anything in double digits. And it looks like EXO is the only one besides the War Mother that will quickly drop below that. I don't know what happened to Valiant. I don't know what they're going to have to do to right the ship. But they're just not making a dent anymore like they used to. Do you see anything on the horizon for them, Eric, that might make them rebound?
Yeah. So if there's one company that really tries, it's definitely Valiant. They're really great with retailers trying to help get us tools to sell their books. I think what I think what they suffer from is what the Transformer and the toy line at IDW suffered from, and it was just trying to make the universe too connected. And I think the more crossing over, the more all-in-one stuff that you do, you really kind of pull those people that just like a character out of it. Like me, I can get pulled out of Valiant stuff very quickly because I don't want the baggage of all the other characters. And
Right.
I think that that's where their mind is right now, is they want to create this combined universe. So that's, to me, that's where their biggest struggle is it, and it's not that they don't have great creators, because I think Lemire and Fred Van Lente are doing stuff there. So I mean, like, they've got great creators. It's just, I think that they've got too much cross pollination going on, and that's just dissuading readers from wanting to be aware of it. And then they've also been doing a lot of renumbering, restarting, rejiggering, retooling, recreating. We've had, I don't know how many different Bloodshots in the last couple of years, where it's kind of getting to the point where I think people are just saying, you know what, there's no consistency. I'll just that's fine. I'll switch to something else.
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, you're right. When there was a time when it was Bloodshot, Exo, Quantum, and Woody. The tried and true of their line was out and consistently being released, and they were all really strong and well written. And they kind of, for some reason, they started mixing things up, and it just it really fell off the rails.
Yep.
And yeah, I hope they get that fixed.
It just seems like they don't have an identity necessarily anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's too bad. Anything else on this list that jumped out at you? Big drops, big gains, anything?
Well, the one thing that I'm going to call out, so there's a couple of publishers that I'm keeping an eye on that they're either new or revamped or enhancing.
Nice.
So one of the things that we're starting to see a slow uptick in from Titan is actually their hard case crime line.
Oh yeah, love it.
So
I love it.
Those books, like Normandy Gold, is one of my top of the stack books when it comes out. And there's a couple of new offerings in the current previews from the hard case crime line that we're starting to see a slow uptick in those readers. So that's one that we're just kind of keeping an eye on. Lion Forge is putting out some really good stuff at really competitive prices. Like we ended up getting, I think it was almost a 330-page OGN from Lion Forge, oversized, and it was $19.99, full color. I mean, it was just a stunning package. They've been putting out some really great product. So that's a publisher that we're watching. And then the little engine that hopefully is Magnetic Press. Their book right now that I'm on, and I think it might be their only main ongoing title, is Jazz Maynard. They are kind of breaking in, and I'm interested to see how those two, Lion Forge and Magnetic, as publishers do, and then how the hard case line in Titan goes. I know that there's, I think, a Lion Forge book on here right now. Catalyst Prime Incidentals is on here. Ghost Money is on here.
I would give any of those hard case crime trades to people to check out, because they're such great stories. They're usually 3, 4, 5 issues.
Yep.
Very self-contained stories. They're all good. I haven't read one yet that I didn't like. And Normandy Gold is great. And it's just a really strong line. And I don't know if the writers that they're finding are like actual crime writers, mystery writers or something. I think there's some kind of tie-in like that, and they're all really strongly written characters and really well done comics.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of a mix. So I'm looking at the retailer order form. I don't have my previous book in front of me, but Minky Woodcock, Girl Who Handcuffed Houdini, is a follow-up to like the Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I believe that writer is actually a playwright or a theater writer, and this is a continuance of those the trilogy of books. But
terrible title.
But I think it's under the hard case crime
Yep,
banner.
it is.
So,
it is. Yep.
Yeah, just great stuff there, and I'm interested to see how that will do, how it'll translate to the monthly lists going forward. And like I said, I want to see Lion Forge slowly climb up here, and I want to see Magnetic Press jump on here. And hopefully they can do that.
Yeah, I love the small publisher, and always want to support them when we can. So, yeah, that's good stuff. And you were talking to us a little bit about Alterna. I see Alterna is barely making a blip still on here, and you tried in your shop, and they just didn't get any traction.
Nope.
So it's a nice experiment, and we hope it's working somewhere. And I continue to throw some money at them, but I know they're not for everybody. The newsprint comics.
Yeah, I don't think it was the newsprint or the colors or anything like that was the problem.
Yeah, more the story.
I think it was a mix. On some books it was the story, and on other books it was the quality of the art.
Yeah. It still comes down to that, doesn't it?
Right.
Anything else, Kyle?
That is all I can come up with from our numbers.
Well, as we're pushing towards 2 hours, let's get over and get that sneak peek out of the way then.
All right, let's head on over to previewsworld.com. Let's find September 27, 2017. And let's click our table view because I can't read gallery. And Drew, Eric, let's start where we always love to start. Let's start in Dark Horse.
Pass.
Rebels, These, Free, and Independent States, 7 of 8. I'm behind on this, but I have the first 2 or 3 of these. I liked Rebels. I like the 1776 and the very early revolutionary time period. He writes a heck of a book. They started going more one-off and less of a, essentially following any singular characters through multiple books. But all the ones I've picked up I've actually really enjoyed on this. But that's all I got.
Yep, that's the only one that I've got in Dark Horse as well.
All right, let's head on down to DC.
So many.
The Oz Effect has taken over Action Comics. Which means we have lenticulars.
You have a lenticular. That's right.
Looks like multiple lenticulars, right?
We've got Action 988, and I think that's...
Is that it this
yep,
week?
that's it this week. Because
Okay.
I think we had Superman this past week.
So then what's the other variant? The Mikel Janin? Just standard... That would be the standard B
Yep.
cover normally?
Correct, yep. Okay. Yeah, and then the lenticular is the A cover, just lenticularized.
Nice.
The big one we got is Batman the Murder Machine, #1. So that's coming out.
That is a wicked looking cover.
Uh-huh.
Now, Kyle, we got your beloved Nightwing kissing Batgirl on the cover of the cover B for Batgirl 15.
Bring that relationship back, man.
Is that going to get everybody excited?
Yes.
They're kissing right there. I'm telling you. He should say, will you marry me? That would really blow up.
They are kissing on the A cover, too. And that A cover's a Dan Mora cover.
Oh, well, that's even better. Forget what I said about the B cover. Stay with the cover A. Oh, that's awesome.
Stay the course.
I love Dan Mora.
Yeah, I'm a
His
big
art
fan.
Is beautiful. You said he's Latin American?
Yeah, somewhere in Central South America.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, that Tyler Kirkham variant for Blue Beetle 13. Holy crap. That's pretty good. Makes me want to read Blue Beetle.
Well, how do I know Tyler Kirkham? What's he do? What's he normally do?
A lot of covers.
A lot of covers? Oh, that is a neat Blue Beetle cover. You're right. Oh, it's got a little Hamlet vibe going on.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, and you've got DC Superhero Girls Volume 4. That one usually, that line does quite well in the shop for us. Shea Fontana, who is writing, I think she might have just finished up or is finishing up her, she just finished up her Wonder Woman run. James Robinson's on it now. But those always do really well.
Those are the ones that do really well in the Scholastic book market, too.
Yep. I mean, at $10, they're perfect for kids. They're nice. They're thicker than just your regular floppy comic. But
holy cow, you say you learn a lot by doing these Commandy challenges. Well, this one we have written by Tom King, art by Kevin Eastman and Freddie Williams.
Oh, that's a home run right there.
Maybe, I would think, but yeah.
They got the cover B has Kevin Eastman cover. It's really nice. Really nice.
You got Nightwing, The New Order.
Really good. Really fun, that first issue.
Yep, I agree.
I'm excited about this. Yeah.
I'm going to have to just read these in single instead of waiting for a bit of them.
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
I'll end up spoiling it. I'm going to spoil it for you if you don't.
All right. Because I've got, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, all right, how does this world come to be? I've got so many questions.
Eric, are you reading any Young Animal wine anymore?
Nope, I'm not.
Yeah, I've dropped almost all of it. I'm reading Shade, and it's really, really confusing. So I'm about ready to drop it as well. I keep trying on Doom Patrol, but I just can't get into it.
Suicide Squad 26, that is a metal tie-in as well as a Stefan Sage cover.
I'll have to remember that. Yeah.
And let's see what... Oh, we get no sneak peek at Jenny Fraser's cover B. That's just wrong.
It'll be beautiful.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Anything else to kind of analyze or look at a little bit farther in DC?
Man, I don't know. There's a lot there. That lenticular is going to be a big deal, right?
So it's interesting. The Oz Effect, the first lenticular, we didn't order super deep on it. We sold through comfortably. We didn't have people coming grumbling that we didn't have it. Not as big as the button, but then again, Batman is much bigger than Superman, so that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And we glance right over Batman the Shadow 6 of 6, the end of that one.
Yeah, I dropped that. I dropped off that.
Couldn't stick in for just the 6.
Wasn't that exciting?
Yeah, but I think probably I think Murder Machine will sell better than anything in this.
You think so?
Yeah.
Eric, get some promo pins there. Did you get a bag?
Yep.
Did you get a bag?
All right. Anything else in DC?
Nada.
All right. Let's head on down to IDW.
A DuckTales. A woo. Who was a DuckTales watcher?
Well, the new series is just coming out too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I vaguely remember DuckTales.
The new series is okay. We watched an episode. It still had the humor, but the voices were just all wrong.
It's got a lot of voices I know in it, but just man, there's a lot of people like Bobby Moynihan and Danny Putty and a bunch of stuff in it.
What channel was DuckTales on? Do you remember?
Ugh.
Disney? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Was it Disney Channel?
No, I didn't have cable.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Whenever I remember watching this with Hannah, but I don't know exactly what we were watching it on.
I don't know if it was
Could have been
Fox up here for us, or
maybe
Fox or ABC. I'm thinking. Who knows? Good times.
Good times.
The game. I was just playing the video game. They remastered it not too long ago. I was taking my son through the horror that is trying to beat DuckTales.
Really?
Yeah, it's a tough game.
What platform?
It's Xbox.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, we have got Infinite Loop, Nothing But the Truth, #1 from IDW, written by Pirek Collinet and Elsa Charretier. With art by Daniel D. Nicuolo. The Infinite Loop is back, so this is a second volume
know already.
that I've missed. With a self-contained story, a perfect jumping-on point for new readers. Twin Peaks creepiness collides with Orwell's 1984 dystopian madness in this sci-fi miniseries. We don't really like second volumes of things that we've missed the first time around, do we? But it does have a Cliff Chang cover B.
I personally am not seeing anything else in IDW.
Well, you got TMNT ongoing with Kevin Eastman cover B.
It's been a while since they had anything crazy. I remember around issue 47, 48, they had a death of a character in there for a while, and it seemed like that was heating up and a lot more people were reading it, but it's haven't heard much buzz from it for a while.
Yeah, it's steady Eddie. It does really good for us. Sells off the back wall really well, too.
Who's buying it? 30-year-old boys, guys?
Actually, it's a mix. We've got...
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a mix. So the subscribers are probably, early 30s to mid 40s, which is kind of what you'd expect based on when it came out. And then the people that are buying it off of the recent wall, and TMNT is one of the titles actually that we go the deepest on the recent wall, that tends to be more of the junior high and high school age.
Oh, nice. Okay. A whole new crowd. Well, yeah, Kyle, your son is into Turtles.
The Nickelodeon series is really good.
There's been enough constant drip of it over the last 15 years between multiple volumes on TV and then just the merchandising that they've done between things like lunchboxes and backpacks and shoes, and they've really done a great job of keeping that brand in the forefront, whereas a lot of the superhero stuff, Batman was always out there and Spider-Man, but beyond that, it was pretty dead until the movie universes started kicking in. But that's one thing TMNT's always done very well at, is marketing.
Yeah, dug through a ton of TMNT Halloween costumes looking for stuff.
Did you find one that would fit you?
I tried as much as I could. All right. We've mined as much gold as we can with IDW. Let's see what Image is doing for us this week.
Do we have to go past Black Magic 8 with a Jenny Frison B cover?
No, we do not. It's good. I'm glad it's back.
Yeah. And then the
really
Jenny cover is typical awesome. And the Nicola Scott covers are always great too. I have to confess, no matter how many come out, I get one of each cover of Black Magic.
Now, Jenny lives up there somewhere, right?
Yeah, she lives in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay.
She's actually married to Tim Seeley's brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she a slower artist? Is that why she does covers? 'Cause she really needs an ongoing. I mean,
I don't know as if she has a lot of interest in doing ongoing stuff.
Does she do like illustration or something on the side or something else?
Yeah, I think she was a student of the Chicago Art Institute, but if you look at her stuff online, her portfolio, a lot of it is the kind of the posed portrait type artwork.
Yeah.
I know she does all digital.
Yep. Yeah, she was part of that 4-star
with Tim and Mike Norton and Jenny.
Yeah, they had a podcast for a while, and it was fascinating listening to their process. Really exciting, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Black Magic's great.
Drew, we have Rat Queen special Orc Dave #1 one shot.
Orc Dave. Okay, I'm back in. Back in. It's got a Fiona Staples cover. I'm excited.
Fiona cover. That's right. Fiona cover, and everybody loves Orc Dave.
Orc Dave, man, that's fantastic. I love it.
Are you guys reading Black Monday Murders?
No, I dropped it.
So good.
Yeah, I heard it was great. It it uh, it just had a really sporadic schedule at the beginning there.
Yeah.
And I just kind of lost track of it.
They've been predominantly quite thick and dense, which I like. A nice change of pace. They're thinker books. You really gotta be in them.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm not reading it. I don't want.
Ain't got time for this thinking thing.
No thinking for me.
Saga 47. Saga rolls on. Meet Lanthe, who has very big plans for the will. Man, that's a cool looking character.
Well, I was just whining around about Southern Bastard not being around for a while, and there it is. There it is.
With a Fiona Staples B cover.
Yes. We have 3 Fiona covers to buy just from Image.
Isn't that great?
Gosh.
But yeah, so this is Gut Check. Are they back on schedule? There were so many delays. I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore.
You thought you knew, but you had no idea.
I had no idea. There's my. Is that the Royal City? Oh, that's the trade. I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else from Image?
There's a lot of good reads there. I'm reading pretty much all that stuff. It's all good.
Let's see if Fiona did anything else in Image this week. Let me skim and double check. Does not look like it. All right, let's head on down, and we're going to need Eric's help to dig through what's coming out from Marvel.
Yeah, I can summarize it with Marvel Legacy.
Legacy.
This is Jenny Frozen on a Black Panther.
Yeah, I think it was 17 started her connecting cover stuff.
Very cool. Now we've got Captain America's Generations, which is Falcon, Cap, and I'm guessing the good Cap.
Yeah, Steve Rogers.
That should be fun.
Then you got a Spider-Man. You got Miles Morales and Peter Parker.
That'll be fun. Of course, we're getting that in Spider-Man right now.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Marvel Legacy #1.
There were
the numbers on this are going to be insane, I think.
How many variants do we have of this thing?
I just see a couple here, but that doesn't mean anything.
None of these are the incentive. These
Yeah.
are just
Yeah, to switch to the other side to see all that.
See our 10s and 25s, 50s and 100s. And hip hops and babies and what have you.
Yep. Yeah.
But is that going to be as big? Is it going to be bigger than Metal? Is it going to be 300,000 copies?
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's your #1 book.
But that big?
That's crushing your month by far.
It's going to be bigger than Metal.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm putting this thing above 300,000.
Okay, if I remember correctly, this is BC era Avengers and superheroes, like a long time ago.
Right, it kind of goes back, yeah.
Back in time.
It begins at the dawn of the human race and ends with a child's prayer. In between empires fall, mysteries brew, secrets are revealed, quests are undertaken, and legends are forged, all leading up to the dramatic return you've been waiting for, and one you've been dreading. But it's Jason Aaron, Isak Ribic, so it's going to be big.
Dramatic return you've been waiting for. That's Wolverine, right?
Probably.
One you've been dreading. I don't know what that is. It's got a star-studded cast of artists. How many pages is this thing? Does it say? For $5.99? All right, I want to read that. Right, I'm going to read that first one. I'm not excited about Legacy.
Begrudgingly reading.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it like I was Secret Empire.
When do we get Thor 700 or whatever it is?
That's comes out on the 18th of October.
So, okay, October. So we're winding up whatever we got here with this Mighty Thor 23, just in time to start the big thing next. So
Right.
So this will be the last. This number, and then it'll jump to 700 after this.
Yep, and we add a digit.
Okay. Interesting.
Mace Windu 2, Venom Verse 4.
Mace Windu was terrible.
Not much you can do with that character, I don't think.
Not that didn't work for me anyway. Didn't like Venomverse much, so I jumped off that one.
All right, anything else in Marvel?
Not really.
Nope.
I mean, you got a big one. You got a couple big ones. You got your Generations are going to be big, and then
Yep.
the event title.
But with Legacy coming out, I mean, does anybody really care about the Generations books anymore? Or you just like push them to the side? Do you need them? Do you need to read those anymore? Can you just push those to the side to read Legacy?
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
I think it definitely overshadows them. I think you're going to see a lot of cannibalization of these. They may
Eric's
be
got
ordered,
inside information. He's playing coy.
I do not want to lead the witness.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. So that's it for Marvel then.
Yep. Let's head on down to our smaller publishers, our Onis, our Aftershocks, our Booms, our Lion Forge.
Aardvark Comics pass. What's this Adventure Finders from Antarctic Press? It's got a writer but no artist. Writer Rod Espinoza. An action paled story. Is that right? Action paled? Of a small town girl and her friends who want to make it big as renowned fighters. Part Barbie, part Xena, and all heart. What do you think?
No.
Pass.
Swing and a miss. Dan Abnett's writing Captain Kronos for Titan Comics. So it looks like we've got some, I don't know what, Vampire Hat. Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. Under the Hammer imprint, it looks like.
Interesting. You guys still reading Archie?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man, you're missing some stuff, man. You're missing it. It's very soap opera, but there's some cool stuff happening. I can't tell you. I'd spoil it. Unless you want to know. Another Antarctic Press. Arya, like from Game of Thrones. This one has a writer but no artist as well. They do not like their artists here. This is written by Sophia Davila and Minjun Chen. Maybe she's the artist. It's a showcase of new, strong female talent with something unique and wonderful in every issue. Sounds interesting.
Interesting.
Does that mean it's an anthology, you think, or just an ever-changing creative team? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Might check that out. That might be something fun.
Graveland #1 from Scout Comics. Massimo Rossi on writing and Gabriel Ibarra Nunez on art. The San Andreas Fault has finally had the big one, but not from natural occurrences. From the depths of the fault, something emerges, something from myth and legend that was mentioned in hushed tones by every ancient culture. Giants, huge creatures from another timeline. Interesting. It's got an interesting cover, an interesting premise. There's been a few things from Scout hit pretty big in the last couple of years because they have such small print runs. So that might be something to check out.
Yeah, definitely. Gentlemen, I give you Fujitsu number 1, but I point you towards the cover B. It's Greg Smallwood, and this is written by your boy Kyle J. Nitz.
Ah,
yeah. Fujitsu is the world's smartest boy, and has been for the. Not as smart as Moon Girl, but he's up there. Fu is an unaging genius and has had adventures around the globe and around the galaxy. Jay Nitz and Greg Smallwood. It's on an Aftershock book. You got to give this a shot. You got to check this out.
Gotta be worth a read. Gotta be worth a read.
Gotta be worth checking out that first issue.
So I'm going back up the alphabet a little bit. Two slots up or 3 slots up, depending which Fujitsu you're looking at. But Frau Faust, Volume 1. It's a new manga series from Kodansha. Sounds pretty interesting. From the creator of The Ancient Magus' Bride comes a supernatural action manga in the vein of Fullmetal Alchemist. With electrifying art and a gripping story, Frau Faust reimagines the protagonist of the classic tale who makes a deal with the devil as a tenacious female scholar. A century after a scholar made a deal with the devil in exchange for eternal life, the story of Faust has passed into legend, but the real Faust is not a stuffy professional man, but a woman still on the run with her homunculus servant. When the magnetic, bespectacled woman passes through a provincial town, she adds a young orphan named Marion looking for an escape to her group. The next stop, a church basement where a disembodied demon's arms lies sealed away and an officer of the Inquisition named Lorenzo waits to spring a trap for the blasphemer. Sounds kind of fun.
Right. Yeah.
Not too bad. If only I didn't have to read right to left.
It does get easy after you've read 1 or 2 of them.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
But at first, my eyes crossed.
I give you the final issue of Godshaper, Godshaper number 6 from Boom Studios, written by Simon Spurrier and art by the amazing Jonas Goonface with the best name in comics. Our buddy Derek turned me on to this. And he'd really been enjoying it, and I checked it out, and I really like it too, Kyle. So it's good stuff. You should check it out. Well, from
Devil's Due.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
The
one.
Malefic, yeah, I got that one up too. All right, if all 3 of us are looking at it, someone's got to read it.
Someone's got to read it.
Young Dr. Freust is a therapist in an asylum of horror where each deranged and diabolical inmate has a paranormal neuroses and a homicidal glint in their eye. Out of her depth, Freust must discover the techniques pioneered by her father, leader of a secret religious cult. If she has any hope of surviving the madness, the great Dan Schaefer from Dog Witch and Kill Darlings.
You remember Dog Witch?
I do not.
Me neither.
Mixes a dark gothic cocktail with a twist of rye.
What do we think of artist David Miller's perspective on those feet, on that chick's feet? They're a little off on the cover, aren't they?
It's a struggle for many artists.
I mean, those are Liefeldian.
Yeah, I was going to say, God bless him for not hiding them off the page.
Behind a tree.
Those are huge feet. I don't think that's good art.
It's just a fisheye lens on the camera.
Yeah. That's what it is. I apologize to the artist. You're doing a great job.
You draw feet better than I can, so I guess I'm not allowed to get too critical.
Yeah, we can still criticize.
Sisters of Sorrow 3 of 4.
You guys reading that?
I bought the first one, but I didn't.
First
read
one's
it.
fantastic. I haven't read number 2 yet, but the first
one was great. I'm in the same boat. I've read the first. I loved it. I have the second. Have not read it yet.
Yeah, that first one was really, really good. What a surprise! That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and this is a great example of that the Boom retailer opportunities, because this is one we probably wouldn't have brought in but because of their returnability, we did, and I think we brought 3 or 4 in, and we sold all but 1. I think we brought 4 in and sold 3.
It's really good.
Another Titan comic in the Beautiful Death.
Yeah. That looks trippy. And is it post-apocalyptic?
Too long, didn't read.
The apocalypse has been and gone. The age of humanity is at an end. Horrifying insectile aliens from the depths of infinite space are now masters of the earth. What does resistant mean when there's nothing left to fight for? Written by Matthew Bablet, or Mathieu Bablet, maybe it's French, with a cover by Brandon Graham. Some of their stuff is incredibly European. Outside of the hard case noir crime line, they have some European stuff that's weird. This might be one of those.
Anything else in our smaller publishers this week?
No.
I don't have any more published stuff, but I have something from farther down on the list in the toy statues and models.
Let's check it out.
All right, so this coming week, the Funko Pop delivery includes the Thor Ragnarok Hulk Helmet Gladiator vinyl figure. So for those of you that like Hulk and his helmet.
What did I see? I saw a really cool Funko Pop that I have to somehow search out. I saw Pickle Rick from Rick and Morty. I have to find that one. That is a really cool looking Funko Pop.
Do you get the Rick and Morty book?
I don't.
You should, because
I'm a little late on that. I hear good things.
Yeah, a ton of the people that love the show come in just for that book. That has a following very akin to The Walking Dead, where people will come in and they will only come in for that book. They will get it. They will giggle as they're walking out the door with it.
Mm-hmm. And that number 1 on that's a $300 book already.
Si, senor. I would recommend the trade.
Yeah.
The Rick and Morty number 1 is a $300 book.
It is.
Yes.
Very tiny print run.
Jeez.
And they're only on issue 30, so it's not that old of a book.
Yep.
That's crazy. I watched my first episode of that. I watched the pilot.
Mm-hmm. It really hits its stride. Like, season 3, we're 8 episodes into season 3. It's friggin' funny. And it's just really well written.
All right.
I do not need to buy more pops. I do not need to buy more pops. I do not need to buy more pops. That is a cool looking Thor. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Thor helmet Ragnarok Gladiator figures now.
Yeah.
It is cool looking.
You're bringing the podcast to a screeching halt.
I'm sorry this happens. All right, this is the point of the podcast where we look at the things coming out this day and we find our one book to head to our local comic book shop, snag up, make sure we toss in that short box because we think it will increase in price, be the comic to get, and something that everybody's going to want to have. Eric, Drew, what are our locks?
You want to go first, Eric?
Yeah,
you're the guest.
Yeah, I can go first, I guess. It's kind of a tough one. There's no real guaranteed winner for me on the list. So for what I would say, I'm going with Batman: The Murder Machine #1.
Mm-hmm. Last one, the other one sold through, went to a second print real quick. All signs point to this one probably doing the same.
I'm going to go with all of the Fiona Staples.
The Fiona bundle.
Covers. The Fiona bundle, if they have one. But if I have to pick just one, I'm going to go with Southern Bastards, cover B.
I am taking a flyer on Blue Beetle, cover B for 13, just because.
Really?
I'm sure there's some Tyler Kirkham huge fans out there. And this, we talked about Blue Beetle being the lowest print run of any of the current Rebirth titles. And then there's a lot of shops like our dumb one up the road that doesn't do cover Bs. There's not going to be very many of this cover at all.
True.
So just for as amazing it is, it's one of the best covers I've seen in a while. So I want to have it, and there's not many of them.
And you're usually pretty spot on with that when it jumps out at you, and we have some listeners that are like that. When Michael Lamb's really good at when he sees one that really strikes him, it's usually one that gets hot. And it kind of goes along the if it's a fantastic cover, people are going to want it.
Yeah, if it's something we like, I'm not saying we have our fingers always on the pulse, but odds are other people will as well.
Yeah. Good stuff. Lots of good stuff this week coming up. So get to your comic shops and scoop them all up. Eric, we want to thank you so much for joining us and spending 2 hours and 15 minutes with us here.
Can I steal 2 more minutes?
Sorry it went so long. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick, couple things I wanted to call out that are on FOC for Monday.
Oh, yes. FOC. I forgot about FOC.
So, basically the things that I called out were, so everybody knows about the Walking Dead homage covers that Image is doing, but they have, in their fun little FOC way, added in black and white versions of that. So, for anyone who wants those, make sure you go and ask your retailer for them, because they may not...
There's just 4, right?
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 this coming FOC. Let's see.
And have we actually seen the art on all of them yet?
Not on all of them, but on most of them you can see it.
That's the thing I did think.
So there's Curse Words has one. We've got Descender has one.
Are you all in on black and white too?
All in on black and white and color. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So far.
Generation Gone has one. Kill the Minotaur does not have a black and white. Realm number 2 has a black and white. And I think that's it. Then there's a couple other that are just color. So yeah, 4 black and whites this
and the Spy Seal is color?
Spy Seal is color. It doesn't have B&W in the title.
Okay. So we ordered the colors on last order.
Yep.
Last previews order. So I got 4 of the black and white. It's the last FOC. So is there one I'm missing?
So you got all the black and whites from the last FOC. We don't have any of them for this FOC, but I was assuming you're going to want to add them.
I do. Yeah.
And then you also called out...
So these are not the ones that I ordered last time?
Correct.
Wow.
And then you also called out Maestro's number 1 cover B by Pia Guerra, who did the art for Why the Last Man.
Yes. I haven't seen much from him, her.
Her.
Is it him?
Her.
For a long time. So I thought that would be fun to take a look at some Pia Guerra art again. And Maestro's is a new number 1 anyway, so definitely want to check that out.
And then the other one that I wanted to call out is Harley Quinn number 30's Cho variant, but the variant is really, really awesome. It's Harley Quinn riding her mallet like a broom, dressed as a witch with a bat signal moon behind her.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys have seen it or not.
Mm-hmm.
There, I tried to throw it into Skype here, but it's it's a pretty cool cover, and I think that that's one that at least because it's coming out around Halloween, folks are going to enjoy.
Yeah, I was going to say just in time for Halloween.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
And then the big stuff. So the big stuff that a lot of folks don't get to know about because many shops do not do it is that local comic shop day orders are due for November 8th delivery. So from Dark Horse, we have the 2017 Sherlock, Frankenstein, and Legion of Evil number 1 local comic shop day variant by Laura Allred. Let's see. We have Batman Hush 15th Anniversary Deluxe Edition hardcover local comic shop day with a Jim Lee black and white cover for DC.
What is local comic shop day? Is that a new thing?
No, it's been around for a couple years.
For years now.
Yep.
It's not the one that happens. That's not Halloween Fest.
No,
thing, right?
it happens
this
after.
Is different.
Yeah.
This is, remember we always compared it to Record Shop Day back in your day?
Yeah. Okay.
But most retailers tend to miss it because it's FOC only stuff usually.
Okay.
There's a Justice
Yeah, I
League
picked up
Suicide
I
Squad.
picked up a few things from Laughing Ogre a couple years ago that I thought were really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's hit and miss. This year, DC also has Justice League Suicide Squad #1 local comic shop day variant. Just kind of go down the publishers here really quick. Optimus Prime First Strike #1 from IDW has a local comic shop day. Star Wars Adventures #1 has a local comic shop day cover, which is kind of cool. All right, let's see here.
These are full price.
Yep, regular price.
Regular price books.
Maestro's #1 has a local comic shop day cover by Steve Scroach and Dave Stewart.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see here. Should be a couple more. Marvel has Captain America 695 Sam Neill variant. However, yeah, and that one is limited to 1,000 copies.
And they're doing hardcovers and that are special for local comic shop day too.
Yep. So Marvel has a Planet Hulk hardcover local comic shop day variant.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they did like a Lion Cat statue. Image did a couple years ago for local comic shop day as well.
That's correct. Animosity, the Rise hardcover has a local comic shop day cover variant. Black Mask has a Four Kids Walk Into a Bank hardcover. They have
Very
a
nice.
black hardcover, a Cal Exit bandana, and a Young Terrorist hardcover local comic shop day versions. Boom Entertainment.
Resist. Hashtag resist.
Boom Entertainment has, I got to talk to John about this one. They have a 2017 Saban Power Rangers blind box local comic shop day. There's only 250 of them. And then they also have local comic shop day WWE Royal Rumble print.
Yeah, he'll be all over that. Not the WWE, but the blind box.
From Oni Press, Rick and Morty Treasury Edition has a local comic shop day variant. Tales from Johnny Wander, and Kyle, we are getting that for sure. So if you want a copy of that, it's $14.99.
Okay.
Oni Press local comic shop Tales from Johnny Wander. There's a single issue there. And let's see what else we got. Titan Robotech Kershal Super Pack. This looks like, I think it's 4 prints based on what I'm seeing. 4 Robotech cover prints. Secret Weapons Deluxe Edition from Valiant, local comic shop day variant. And I think that rounds it out.
And it's tough. It's tough for me to pick these things out of the spreadsheet.
Anything that has LCSD.
Yeah. Okay.
So the ones that we're going a little bit heavier on, we're getting a good chunk of the, well, not a good chunk, we're getting a healthy amount of the Batman Hush 15th Anniversary Deluxe hardcover. It's a $50 book, but it's Hush always sells really good, and having that variant cover is good. I'm trying to think what other ones we're getting here. We are also getting a couple of the Maestros, a couple of the Captain Americas, a couple of the Planet Hulk hardcovers. The Planet Hulk hardcover is a $40 hardcover. I don't know. I can't remember them doing as many hardcovers and trades as they are this year, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so there you go.
Great
a little bit of fun.
Yeah, nice stuff, and it's a quick turnaround, man. You guys earn your paychecks because you get that. You got to process it for yourselves, and then help your customers decide if they want something, and then turn that around in a couple of days.
Yep.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, so most of our customers don't end up seeing the FOC stuff just because it does take a little bit. Anyone who's on our mail order pull list gets an emailed FOC list every Friday, Saturday, depending on when I have time, and then we will update it from there. So yeah, a perk of being a part of the In Club.
I tell you. Yeah. Tell us all about how to get a hold of Kowabunga. You're doing the Cowcast, so they can listen to your podcast. You're in Oconomowoc, and you're at cowabungacomics.com. You have Facebook and Twitter, right?
Yep. So we are on Facebook. you can look for Kowabunga Comics with a K, or you can do facebook.com/Incredicow. Our Twitter handle is @Incredicow. And yeah, cowabungacomics.com. So that's probably the easiest way is through Facebook. We do most of our stuff there. Every Monday, we drop images of new key issues from collections that have come in over the last week. Most weeks we get enough collections in that we'll do key drops multiple days. We don't put up a lot of the goofy memes and the funny pictures and stuff like that. We try and keep it more to products. So I know some people have commented that they don't want to just watch someone that's putting a bunch of goofy things on. That's really not our shtick. We like to focus on the product.
Yeah, we'll take care of that. Again, we appreciate you helping us sift through these numbers. You really help kind of flesh it out from the industry side to, we see it on one side and know that it means one thing, but you really kind of helped us understand where these books are going. And are they getting into readers' hands, or are they sitting on shelves, and how this stuff is working, and it's a fascinating look, and I appreciate your time very much, Eric.
Oh no,
thank you.
Thanks for letting me come on again, and I tend to be long-winded, so hopefully you guys had some caffeine before we started.
I'm exhausted. Take us home, Kyle.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Comics for Fun and Profit. Thank you for tagging along with Eric, Drew, and myself as we ran down comics coming out September 27th, 2017. Of course, you can reach us at all the different social medias. All that can be found at comicsfunprofit.com. But for Eric, Drew, and myself, see you.